Have you ever had this happen? You read a parenting book, or you watch a YouTube video, or maybe a friend tells you, this worked wonders with my child. You also try it. And to your surprise, it actually works. Your child listens. Tantrums become fewer. Bedtime goes more smoothly. And you think, finally, I found the answer. Then a week later, the exact same strategy doesn't work at all. Your child argues, they refuse to cooperate. You are frustrated, and now you're wondering, did I do something wrong? So naturally, you go looking for another strategy, another expert, another parenting book, another parenting hack. Can I tell you what I think is happening? I don't think parenting hacks fail because the advice is bad. And I certainly don't think they fail because parents aren't trying hard enough. I think they fail because we are trying to solve the wrong problem. Hi, I'm Dr. Vasantha Reddi, founder of Svadharma Circles. My work brings together neuroscience, developmental psychology, and the timeless wisdom of Sanatana Dharma to help parents better understand their children and, just as importantly, themselves. Because I've come to believe that parenting isn't simply about changing a child's behavior, it is also about the growth and awareness of the parent. And once you begin looking at parenting that way, something interesting happens. You stop asking, what's the next technique? And you begin asking, who am I when I'm using this technique? That question changes everything. Most parenting advice begins with the child. How do you stop tantrums? How do you get your child to listen? How do you encourage responsibility? Reduce anxiety? How do you set better boundaries? These are all important questions. But there's another question we rarely ask. Who is the parent using these techniques? Think about this for a moment. Imagine you're trying to speak calmly to your child. Your words are gentle, but inside you're anxious, exhausted. You're already running late. You're worried about work. And your child refuses to put on their shoes. Have you noticed that children often respond to what's happening inside us even more than the words coming out of our mouths? That's because children are incredibly sensitive to our emotional state. They don't just hear our words, they experience us. They notice the tension in our voice, the hurried movements, the frustration we are trying hard to hide. Modern neuroscience tells us that our nervous system is constantly communicating with the other. Children learn emotional regulation not because we tell them to calm down, but because they spend time with someone who is calm. That is why the same parenting strategy can work beautifully on Monday and completely fall apart on Thursday. The strategy did not change, the emotional environment changed. And that brings us to something I think many of us miss. Parenting isn't a collection of isolated techniques, it is a relationship. Imagine trying to build a house. One day you learn how to paint. The next day you learn how to install windows. The next day you learn about roofing. Each skill is useful, but unless those skills come together as part of a bigger plan, you don't end up with a home. And parenting is similar. We keep collecting strategies, a timeout here, a reward chart there, a new communication tool next month. Each one has value, But if we don't work on the foundation, the tools can only take us so far. And the foundation is us, our regulation, and our own awareness and emotional health. Think about these statements. You can't teach emotional regulation while you're chronically dysregulated. You can't teach respectful communication while speaking with contempt. You can't teach emotional safety if your child is afraid of your reactions. You can't teach self awareness if you have never learned to observe yourself. That is why, before asking, what should I do with my child, I think it's worth asking a different question. What am I bringing into this interaction? What am I feeling right now? Am I anxious? Am I embarrassed because other people are watching? Am I trying to control the situation because it makes me uncomfortable? Am I reacting to my child, or am I reacting to something from my own childhood? You see, these are not easy questions, but they are powerful ones. Because children don't simply learn from our instructions, they learn from our presence. They learn what relationships feel like. They learn how people handle disappointment. They learn how conflict is resolved and how emotions are expressed. They are watching us all the time. So perhaps the real purpose of parenting education isn't simply to teach us how to manage children behavior. Perhaps it is to help us become more aware of ourselves, aware of our children, and aware of the relationship we are creating together. Because once awareness grows, all those parenting techniques become far more effective. The timeout isn't just a timeout. The boundary isn't just a rule. The conversation isn't just words. They are now supported by something much more powerful, and that is a calm, regulated relationship. In the Svadharma parenting framework, this is why we always begin with the parent. First comes self-regulation, then we help regulate the child by lending them our calm. Then we observe without judgment, nurture what needs to grow, and finally we guide. Notice something. The first step isn't changing the child, it's becoming the kind of parent who can guide wisely. So maybe parenting hacks don't fail because people are failing. Maybe parenting advice isn't useless. Maybe we have simply expected techniques to do the work that only awareness can do. Before we ask, how do I change my child? Perhaps the more important question is, am I willing to understand myself? Because children don't become who we tell them to become. They become deeply influenced by who we are. And perhaps that is the part of parenting nobody prepared us for. If this perspective resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe to Svadharma Circles. Here we explore how neuroscience, developmental psychology, and timeless wisdom of Sanatana Dharma come together to help us raise emotionally healthy, self-aware children, and first helping us become more aware ourselves. I'll see you in the next video.